welcome to the Blackbird Speaks, a space where I'll speak with individuals about their creativity, giving them the opportunity to showcase what great stuff that they're doing. So today's guest is Tamika Steadman. Hi, Tamika.
Hello.
Hi.
How
Thanks
are
for
you?
joining me. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm great.
So today, I wanted to speak to Tamika. She is a poet, an actress, model, host, and mentor. She's also the founder and creator of the brand I Put the Tea in Poetry. So, as you can probably guess, today's episode will be about Tamika and her poetry and creativity. So, I guess the best place to start is to just ask you how you got into poetry and open word, and what was your kind of motivation to get started.
So when people ask me this all the time, to be fair, and I give the pre-warning, like it's a little bit morbid, but it's okay. It works out in the end. But basically, my nan was really ill. I think this was during about my third year of uni, and we all basically had to come to Birmingham to kind of look after her, and that was during my holidays. So we were taking care of her. Obviously, she had cancer at the time, and then we had to end up putting her in the hospice. And then 2 weeks before we kind of got the final call, I was saying to my dad that like I keep hearing like lyrics in my head, and then I was like, I think I'm going crazy. Like I'm not gonna lie. And I was like, they keep rhyming and stuff, and he was like, I think you should just write. And obviously, because a lot of times when someone is passing, you grieve for them before they kind of go. So it was a really hard time. So then he was like, let's just go to town. I'll never forget it. He was like, we're gonna go to town, we're gonna buy a book. And I was like, what fun is that? All these things that are in your head, you're just gonna write them down. So I was like, okay. And prior to this, I wasn't much of a writer, or I wasn't really into like poetry or anything like that before. So then went to the shop, got this little blue book, and he was like, yeah, like get to it. So I was just kind of like, okay. And then the first poem that I wrote was about my nan. And I think it was because that's all that was in my head at the time. I couldn't think of anything else but her. And then that same poem that I wrote was the poem that I read for her at her funeral. And then when I'd read it, everyone was coming to me after and being like, oh my God, I didn't know you wrote poetry. Like, how long have you been writing for and stuff? And I was like, oh, it's my first time. Like, I've never written anything before. And then everyone was just very encouraging, and they were like, keep going. Like, it was so good. Like, it was really, and I was just kind of blown away because it wasn't something for me to show to everybody. It was just kind of something that I'd made for my nan. And it was kind of like, well, yeah, I want to read this to her. But it was the encouragement of everyone else, I would say, that really pushed me to carry on. And then even after that, anything that I'd wrote was just for me. Like it was kind of like my diary. So when I'm going through tough times, it was kind of like writing it down, or anything that was happening, I'll just write about it, and it would just help kind of keep me calm and stuff. And then, yeah, I think slowly I just started to kind of get the courage and think, oh, we're going to do like an open mic. And I kind of met some friends that were in the scene and stuff. And then I did my first open mic. And then after that, it just kind of started to Rolodex. And then, yeah, here we are.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, it's sad, obviously. I'm so sorry, about
Yeah.
your nan passing and everything. And I know that was a really tough time for you. But it's amazing that how out of something so sad and traumatic,
Yeah.
great things can come out of that.
100%. I think when you hear things like literally like what you just said, you think like they're like, people think it's cliche, but it's not. It's 100% truth. Because I feel like sometimes when you're in those dark places, like sometimes it's so dark, light has to come. It has to come from somewhere. When you're in that space, you don't think the light's ever gonna come. You just dark and you're just like, oh. But once it comes, you got to just grab onto it and let it take you wherever it needs to take you. Because I did not think that I'd even call myself a poet, realistically. Even when I first started, I Put the Tea in Poetry. It was kind of like a pseudonym because it's like, it's your art and it's like things that are in your heart and you're letting people know about it. And you're like, oh, so it's a bit scary to really put your stamp on it and be like, yeah, Tamika Steadman. So now I'm like, it's Tamika Steadman, I Put the Tea in Poetry.
Absolutely. And you're amazing. You are amazing. You've
Thank
done
you.
so much work. So there's other things that you have written as well, like 90s Love, and you've got a video that you created for that.
Yes,
So
I
how did that come about? What was your inspiration for that particular poem?
did. 90s love. I feel like what it started off with me being like, I want to put myself like more out there. I need to stop just writing sad poems all the time because obviously, like I said, my poetry kind of started with kind of a sad place. I was like, I want to make more like uplifting poems. And then Valentine's Day was around the corner. So that was like I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a Valentine's Day poem. And then I was really thinking about it and kind of just thinking about how, like, because there's so many love poems out there, it's so cliche. And I didn't want to stick to the norm. The roses are red, the violets are blue. I didn't want that. And then I was thinking, what do you want, Tamika? What do you want? And I was thinking, the kind of love I love is 90s love. And I think because I'm technically a 90s baby, but I'm really on the cusp. But I've still grown up with individuals. I look at my parents and I look at the time and I look at like, I don't know, R&B music and the way you dress in the movies and just everything about it. I just think Black love especially was really glamorized back then. And I don't think we really
Mm.
have many periods in time where Black love is glamorized. So for me, it's the 90s love. And I think that's what I want. And then I compare it to the kind of way love is depicted in like today's generation. And I think, nah, that's not what I want. But when I really started writing it down, I was in the relationship that I'm currently in. So it was less of it's I want that 90s love, but it's actually kind of the 90s love that I have. And
Yeah.
so I was using him as like a strong inspiration for what I want because it was kind of like this is what I want, but this is also what I now have. And I appreciate it. But that was a secret thing for me. Like that's just
Yeah.
like I read it and I think, yeah, this is what I want, and I have it. Like
You could draw on that. He was like your muse.
yeah, literally. He was my muse. He was my muse.
Yeah. Oh, it's
But yeah,
amazing. Lovely. Yeah.
that's how it came. And then once again, I think I just write and I think, oh yeah, this is cute or this is nice. And then I hear other people's like reactions from it and I'm like, oh, you really like that? That's cute. And
Yeah.
then
One thing that you definitely do in the way that you write is you draw people in, so you can really kind of immerse yourself in those words, and it's relatable. Or like with the 90s love, for those that may not have experienced that 90s love, it
yeah,
kind of gives people the opportunity to kind of see what that could be like, and
yeah,
maybe kind of rethink about the type of love they may want, you
100%,
know? And you
100%.
definitely did that. You definitely
Thank
did that with
you.
that.
Thank
Yeah, yeah, you did. And I think, as I said, the way that you write is really kind of moving and very inspirational. And you have been, or you are, not a mentor, and you often go out and you do workshops. Not only do you perform at kind of open word events and things, and do drama classes and things to the young
you.
people.
Yeah, so I am with a team which is right in East Midlands, and what we do is that we go into different schools and like different surroundings, and what we do is just inspire poetry. So I think the most recent one that I did, I was in a school in Nottingham, and they was
Mhm.
having a culture day, so we was putting on a poetry workshop, and it was like putting culture into words. So everyone came dressed in like their own different cultural clothes. They brought cultural food, and then we came in and then we did some workshops and it was lovely. It was really, really nice to allow children to not just embrace their own culture, but embrace everyone else's culture as well and look at
Yeah.
culture differently. And I think in those spaces, that's why I love poetry. And I always tell the children, I always tell them, like, by the way, like I'm actually dyslexic. And they're always like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So I'm dyslexic and I'm a poet. So you can see the narrative here. You would think that I would struggle. And they're like, yeah, how do you do it? And I was like, you just let your passion take you. I was like, it doesn't matter. My spelling's not the best. And I'll write some words on the board. And you guys will probably know it better than what I do. But it's the meaning. It's what do you mean?
Mhm.
If you know what you mean, you can convey that as long as it's from the heart and it's not discriminative, then it's safe in my zone. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
I think you can't really go wrong with poetry.
Absolutely. And I think that is the beauty of poetry, is that it's about the way that it makes you feel.
Hmm.
And as you said before, you kind of draw on inspiration or your own real life experiences, and that's what then helps you to connect with other people, where people can relate to it and
Yeah.
connect with those words, whether they're spelt wrong or in the wrong order or whatever way. It doesn't matter, because it's you kind of being vulnerable and expressing your experience.
Yeah, 100%. And I think even when, because I've released my new EP as well, called I'll Be Alright. That's on all social media platforms. It's on Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple Music. And the reason why I did that as well is to take poetry in different forms. So outside of like my poetry career, I'm also studying to be a qualified occupational therapist. And with that, we look at communication and how people receive communication. So I'm thinking, okay,
Mm.
if I'm writing poetry and people are reading it, that's good. But then there's going to be a whole nother audience that may prefer to listen to it. So then that's when I thought, okay, so how can we put like poetry with music and then see how that blends and see how you can listen to it and just take it in differently, I think. And then even when you were saying with 90s love, then I was thinking, okay, visuals, because some people may like the lyrics might hit, but when you see something, if you can actually see that 90s love, it might hit you a bit differently. So yeah, I just try
Yeah.
to get the poetry and try and put in all the different means that I can and just make everyone feel what I feel. Feel my
Yeah, and that's perfect, because it's all about inclusivity, isn't it? It's
yeah,
all
100%.
about, you know, reaching all the different, not necessarily spectrums, but yeah, all those, hitting those senses and
Yeah,
making it mean something to somebody or to everybody, you
100%.
know? So you also performed at the Commonwealth Games. Tell me how that came about and what that felt like. What an
That was
amazing thing. I was so proud. I was so,
amazing.
so proud.
Thank you. That was wild. Like, and it wasn't planned. Like, if I tell you the story. So it was literally, I found out, I would say about a week, I'm gonna say about a week before. I found out about a week before. So my dad, and my uncle Reese, he has like a band, and then they had a slot to be able to go up on there. And then he was like, okay, I want to put something together and I want you to be involved. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So then we literally rehearsed once. We had one rehearsal. And it was, I think it was either a day or 2 days after my 25th birthday. So I was planning all these birthday bash things, and then Tutu's, you're doing the Commonwealth Games. It's in Birmingham, and we're doing it. And I was like, so my heart just beating. And then we was going through the different poems that I've got, and then I gave him Little Black Girl, and he loved it. But then I had a poem called Little Black Girl, and he was like, I've made a song called Little Black Kings. So sorry, Young Black Kings. So then that kind of built the narrative, and then we just started working from it. And I think, when you think of like artists just vibing together and the creativity's flowing and it's all colors, like that is literally what happened. And yeah, we were
Yeah.
together. My dad was doing the music to DJ, and yeah, like it was just sick. It was just so sick. And then yeah, we went up there, we performed. I think judo was playing at the same time. So you had the judo board here and then us performing on here. And it was crazy. And I think I have like a lot of anxiety before I go on stage. And everyone always says that you look really confident on there. And I'm like, you have no idea before. Like before, I'm like, oh, like hands literally shaking. So when I got on stage, I was like, I could feel my stomach like vibrating. And then I think after my second lyric, I felt the crowd and I just felt the zone. And I was just like, yeah. And I think with Little Black Girl, it's such a beautiful poem and
Mm.
it's so personal to me as well. I think for where we were, it was a nice space for it to be received and everyone was receiving it. And yeah, and then within there as well, at the start, I say, Little Black Girl, come here. And then my sister was in the audience and she started to walk forward towards the stage and people are looking. And it was a really beautiful moment, like on all different levels. So yeah, amazing,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
So you just touched on that, and I was going to ask you, because you've been performing for a while, you're an actress as well. And I just wanted to ask you, how do you prepare for those events? I know you said that you feel anxious and, concerned and shaking and all of that, but
Yeah.
as you said, you do not see that, because I watch you perform, you know, I hear you deliver your poetry and your words so beautifully, and I would never ever think, oh yeah, she's a bit, because I know you, I've known you from
Yeah.
birth, and I've never at any point thought, oh, she looks a bit nervous, or I'm feeling concerned. I'm just like full of pride. So yeah, tell me, how do you prepare before you go on to do a big event?
I think you have to understand that no matter what your emotions are, they're yours. So
Yeah.
I know that I get really nervous before going on stage. So rather than just being like, I'm nervous, just be nervous. It's kind of like, okay, so how do we deal with this? What can we put in place to make sure that you're going to be okay? So I always make sure that I've eaten. I need a full stomach just to make sure that we're grounded. And then what I do is, now I've got the EP, it makes it a lot easier, because I will just play the EP and then I'll just keep on going over it. And it's just practicing. It's saying your poetry when you're walking upstairs to do the laundry. It's when you're driving in the car. It's just constantly going over the words, because I think the anxiety is not giving the performance that you want to give. And because I care
Hmm.
so much, I want you to hear every word that I've written. And I don't want to mess up, and I don't want to take you out of the flow that I'm trying to give. And that's the anxiety. But I think once you're comfortable with the idea that no matter what you say on this stage, like, once it's said, it's already been said. And the beautiful thing with poetry is that it's an environment which is so encouraging. So even if you mess up, someone from the crowd will start clicking. And that's like a poetry kind of encouragement to be like, yeah, you messed up, keep going. Just keep going. Doesn't matter. And you forget it before you go on stage. But when you get on stage and you see everyone, you remember. It's like a warm feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It's crazy. But you're like, this is a safe space. It's a safe space. You step into your safe space. But that step before is so like breathtaking. It feels breathtaking because I'm breathing back so much because I'm like, but it's kind of like stepping into your uncomfortability. Like, you're really uncomfortable, but you just got to take that step. You got to
Yeah.
take that step, because as soon as you take that step, which is uncomfortable, straight after, oh, I'm so comfortable. I'm even more comfortable than I thought I was going to be. And I think that's what it is. And then remembering that, because it's easy to have that in the moment, and then after you forget, and then 2 weeks time you've got another show and you're back there again, and you're like, I did so well before, why am I so nervous again? It's okay, they're your emotions, you just got to take them in. I feel nervous because I care. uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And because your words are precious. They're
Yeah.
your words that you've created, that you've formed and pulled together to then kind of expose yourself and share with, the public.
Yeah.
So I think that also kind of increases that initial feeling. But yeah, I think because also you as a person, because obviously I know you very well, but you as a person and the gift that you have to be able to deliver your words in such a beautiful way, it's impossible, I think, for anyone to ever give you that negative response, just because of the kind of person that you are, because of the person that you are. 'Cause you're
Thank
such a beautiful
you.
person. No, you're welcome. And I
Oh,
mean it. I really,
yeah.
really mean it.
Thank
I
you.
do. So, um, you've done other things. I know we're talking about, this is mainly about your poetry and the work that you've done, but you have done a little bit of acting, and I had the pleasure of watching you
Yes.
perform, and that was so amazing. I thought I would burst with pride. So
Thank you.
how did that come about? Tell us.
That was wild. I had no previous acting experience whatsoever. Um, but basically, so a theatre company came up to me, and they basically was like, we're going to do Much Ado About Nothing, Shakespeare's. And I was like, okay. And there was like, we would like you to do a poem at the end. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's kind of what I thought. I didn't know how I was going to get weaved in, but I kind of thought that. And then as I started getting more information, it was like, no, you're going to be playing a character, like you're going to be playing hero. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, so I had to do a kind of little bit of research. And I was kind of like, okay, so it seems like this whole story is kind of about this woman, but this woman didn't seem to speak much in this play. So they were saying, and when I was saying that, they was like, this is exactly the thing, like, she doesn't have a voice, and there's so many people, like so many chefs in the kitchen trying to throw in that we want her to do this, we want her to do that, and she doesn't have any kind of voice. So they wanted me to provide her with that voice through the poetry. So I created a poem for her. I called it Hero Story.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really enjoyed that. But then I found out that I was playing another character as well. So I was playing two characters in this theatre production. It's professional theatre. I've got no acting experience. And I was just like, okay. I had to clear it from work to get the time off in order to rehearse and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we just got to it, got rehearsing and stuff. I think everyone was, once again, really, really supportive and just really welcoming. And it was just really nice to be able to put my own personal touch on something so poignant. It was just it was humbling, but also uplifting at the same time. Because once again, I put it in my head and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I was stressed. I'm at home trying to like rehearse all these lines. Like I said before, I was like, I'm dyslexic. How am I meant to like remember all these words and how to like perform and stuff? But luckily, with my dad working in theatre, I was able to get some tips from him, and my partner is super patient and he was always constantly helping me and be like, let's go through lines. And once again, it's rehearsal for me. I think everyone learns differently, but I'm definitely rehearsal. We'll be in the gym and he'll say a line that will help me lead in, and then I'm like, yeah. That's how we prepared.
It's amazing. And you were so good. I did have a little tear when you did the poem at the end as well, because it was just, and meeting with you afterwards and the other like actors at the end, they were just
They were
giving you
incredible.
praise, bigging you up, and rightfully so, because you definitely would not have stood out, or you did not stand out from anyone else there to think, oh yeah, she can't act, or she's
Yeah,
not a professional. You were up there as the star of the show for
thank
sure.
you. And it's
Oh, you're
imagine
welcome.
actors and actresses around me, they're serious, like they're so so good, and it was intimidating. So I'm like, oh, like
Of
when you see them
course.
rehearse and stuff. So for you to say that is, thank you so much, absolutely
No,
amazing.
no. I saw it with my own two eyes, so I can definitely say that with my chest. I can say it. You were so professional.
Thank you.
Again, you wouldn't have known that that was like your first time acting. Not at all. Not
Yeah,
at all.
no, 100%. 619 theatre, 1619 theatre. They were just really, really helpful. And I think it's just when someone realizes, okay, so you might not have had experience in this, but we can still make this work. And I think having that comfortability and not having so much pressure
Mm,
really, really helped. I'd say really,
yeah.
really helped.
And clearly they saw something in you that they knew that you could deliver on.
Yeah.
Because, I suppose part of that is that if they were to bring you in and if they didn't see something in you that was special, they were taking a huge risk.
Yeah,
And you
100%.
joined them, and to take such a key role as well in the
Yeah.
production, which is like a Shakespearean classic,
Yeah.
that it's a huge risk for them. So,
Yeah. It's true.
you
I didn't
know,
even consider it that way, but you're right, 100%
yeah,
right.
yeah, it would reflect on them, wouldn't it?
Mm,
So, they see what is special in you. That's what that was about, and you delivered. You definitely delivered.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Mad.
So I guess the next thing is to ask you what's on the cards. Have you got anything on the cards coming? I know that you're studying at the moment, so that is a focus, a real focus. Studying for your masters.
I know. Crazy. I think masters is taking up a lot of my time
I
at
bet.
the moment. It is quite hard. But at the same time, I think I just need to balance it. I've started writing personally at the moment. I've not been posting as much.
Hmm.
But I think it's better to like kind of just rebuild a little bit more of a catalogue. And then once I have the time to fully start posting more online and stuff, then we're back out here.
Yeah.
But
Well,
at the
one of
moment,
the things that you do is that you've written previously like personalized poems as well.
yes, yes, yes. So my personalized poems, I literally love doing them because I feel like with those, sometimes it's when like writers get writer's block. it's the same thing. I call it like an artistic block, and you think like, what can I write about? Like, what can I write? But when you have someone else that says, oh, I don't know, it's my partner's birthday, and we do this together, and we do that, and can you make this into a poem? And I'm like, oh yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I feel like with personalized poems, you can use them for any occasion, like Christmas, weddings, birthdays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, like anything, anything. Like a poem is always good, and I think having something personalized, I've done them myself, where that's where the idea came from. Like sometimes I think like, I don't know what to get somebody, or someone who's got everything, what can you do? And you can just tell them how you feel. And I think
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. So I love doing them. Absolutely love doing them.
it is.
Yeah, they message me on Instagram, and then we have a consultation, get all the information, get them out. And then sometimes if you want them framed, I can do them framed. But yeah, just get them sent.
Fantastic. And I'll add all that information in the comments. So, contact a girl, get,
100%.
you know, get that personalized poem. Because how special is that?
It's just bringing the joy. And I think and like you said, you can go back to it and you can still read it. And it's like, I think sometimes with our minds, like they can take us places that we don't always control. But I feel like when you have like poetry, you have something physical that you can read and focus on, it then forces the happiness kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of love to provide.
I was just going to ask you, if people want to get in contact with you, how would they go about doing that? To know more about you, to access your services?
I'd say currently, so I'd say Instagram is probably my best directory at the moment. So that is literally same as below. I put the tea in poetry. That is literally on all my socials. Twitter is I put the tea in poets because they didn't allow me to get poetry in there. But
Too many letters.
I know too many letters. But then so yeah, Instagram is basically my main directory. I always respond, and then that's for anything. That's for questions, that's for emails. Or my email also is I put the tea in poetry at outlook.com. So if you need to email me about doing any events, any workshops or anything like that, that will go through there. And yeah, and then if you wanted to listen to my EP, then Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere, Tidal, it's literally all streaming services. It's literally everywhere.
Services. Perfect. Oh, Tamika, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been
Oh,
a pleasure, and we won't leave it so long next time.
100%, 100%. Thank you for having me. This has been so nice. And it's been lovely
Yeah,
to reflect on all the different things that I've done. So this has been really uplifting. So thank you.
for a wee young woman, you've done so much stuff, and I'm so proud of you. You're just like flying. You are flying, and
Thank
it's
you.
just it's just a joy to watch you grow. You know.
The thing is, having role models like you guys around me, that's allowed me to persevere and push. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll say you're welcome. I'm not quite sure what I've done, but maybe
Yeah,
added
no,
some humour
honestly.
along the way.
It's bringing joy and light. It's showing perseverance. And I feel like it's important to have strong Black women around you from a young age, so you can see, oh, this person's like this, I want to be like that. This person's like this, I want to be like that. It's like being able to take little bits from everybody. I've taken little bits from you as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
been a
No,
joy. And I'll definitely be asking you to come back and to join another session in the
100%.
future for sure. I want to keep hearing all the great things that you're doing, and don't forget to let me know when you're next performing, and I'll try
Yeah,
and come and see you. That would be great.
definitely.
And all the different aspects of what Tamika is doing, socials, links, everything, I'll add it all in the comments.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
So
so much.
take care, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and just remember to come with curiosity, but to leave with kindness. Take care.
Bye.